All right, here we go, guys. This is the Iron Bowl week, rivalry week for all of college football. I'm here to give you my post-game thoughts on Chattanooga so we can move forward and look at this Auburn game. Uh, but I got a lot. I'm going to try to go fast. I know I said it a lot and it never really works out, but it was a lot to talk about. And so first, I just want to start off with some general notes. So Chattanooga, or UTC, is an FCS team, and a lot of people give Alabama flack for playing FCS team, but the truth is, you know, every college football team plays someone who's not up to their level. Every team does it. Doesn't matter if they're Division One, FCS, Division Two, Division Three. Doesn't matter. Somebody, and sometimes multiple teams. A lot of teams, actually, most teams play multiple teams that don't get up to their level, and you can't really fault the teams for that. Though that's kind of like their break game. That's kind of what they do to give their players a rest. To not have to go through so much grind. That's what they do. Now, here's the issue. Sometimes these games against these teams who you think are inferior don't go out the way you wanted it to. And Chattanooga was a perfect example of that. As a matter of fact, Appalachian State beating Michigan back in 2007 was another example of that. Iowa losing to, who was the team? Was it South Dakota State, I think? Yeah. Iowa losing to South Dakota or whoever they lost to 14-13 early in the season. You don't see those things coming. Those teams just beat you. That's what happens. But here's the crazy part, though. People are talking about Chattanooga like they're scrubs, like they don't belong here. Chattanooga is an FCS team that is going for their third straight playoff appearance in Division Two. I don't care what level of football you are. You get into the playoffs, you're a good team. And honestly, what I saw on Saturday is that people underestimated Chattanooga. Chattanooga has a lot of talented players, especially on their defensive front. And their running back wasn't bad either. Their coach said it after halftime or at halftime. He said, I told these guys, we're going to come in here and compete, and we're going to fight them at every snap. And after watching that game and breaking it down a little bit, Chattanooga competed and fought Alabama on every snap. And a lot of times they got the best of us, to be honest with you. The issue is that they just didn't have the size and overall talent to beat Alabama. But in terms of motivation, I think they did beat Alabama yesterday. They were a much more motivated team, and it showed. And it was embarrassing, as Nick Saban said. How do you let the Chattanooga come in here and be more motivated than you? Especially when your coach preaches against complacency every week. Nick Saban preaches against being complacent no matter who the opponent is every week. Yet you allow Chattanooga to come in and beat you at your own game. Can't do that. So I'm going to get into some of the plays that I saw. Chattanooga impressed me, guys. So the 5:45 mark of the first quarter, uh, Chattanooga pass protected really well. And the reason why I highlighted that, so go look at that play. Our defensive lineman didn't get any push on that play. And I highlighted that because that happened multiple times throughout that game. Multiple times. And you can't allow that. Especially, like I said, their fronts, their offensive line, defensive line, they beat our guys a lot of times. Not every time, but a lot of times. On the next play, actually, undisciplined rush by Alabama allowed the gap on a delayed handoff from Chattanooga, and they got a big run, about 10, 12 yards. So already starting off, not motivated, losing a battle on line of scrimmage, and then an undisciplined rush leading to a hole, a gap so they can run. You can't allow that. Also, again, at the 4:20 mark of the first quarter, Chattanooga controlled the line of scrimmage again. They did it again. It wasn't like a one-time thing. The delayed handoff kept taking advantage of our rush early, at least early on in the game. They didn't do it as much later, but they took advantage of our rush early in the game when they were undisciplined in their rushing lanes. It's uncharacteristic of a Nick Saban coach team. Also, Reuben Foster hurt his finger early in the game, and Jonathan Allen hurt his leg early in the game on consecutive plays. So it was Reuben Foster, then it was Jonathan Allen. So things were just going wrong pretty fast. Jalen Hurts took an awkward hit as we were moving down the field toward the end of the first quarter. And on a QB draw, yeah, it was really awkward. He took a QB draw around the 150 mark of the first quarter. Uh, I'm trying to remember exactly which play. Well, I think this is the play that was he flipped on this play. No, that was a little bit later on. But on this play, he took a hard hit as well, and it's like, why is he still in the game? He hit the ground pretty hard. He had a couple guys hit him, and you're like, why are we still running the ball on these QB draws with Jalen Hurts so much? And honestly, I think some of that was Jalen because he kept the ball a lot too, and he should have been handing the ball off to the running back. So we had to be a little bit smarter than that. Also, Hurts should have given the option. See, this is on another play, like I think maybe the second or third play after that play, around the 45-second mark of the first quarter, because he needs to protect himself. We can't allow him to continue to run and to just take these hits. Uh, as a matter of fact, on the play to start the second quarter, it was another QB draw. Uh, I think he just kept the ball too much on those QB reads. But some positive things finally come along. It was good pass protection at the 14-minute and 30-second mark of the second quarter. Jalen hit Calvin Ridley accurately for that touchdown. So that 47-yard touchdown he threw, that is what they're looking for out of Jalen Hurts. He threw the ball accurately, went down the field. Calvin really didn't have to wait on it. Didn't have to slow down, didn't have to jump up for it. The ball hit him in his hands as he was running into the end zone. Great play. Great throw by Jalen Hurts. That's what we want to see more often. And what I also noticed from the play is Calvin really made that secondary look slow. Like he just ran right by them and speed, like overtook them in the yards. And we have the talent to do that, and that's what they were expecting to happen throughout the game. Chattanooga played great, and Alabama played poorly. It was a combination of both of those things that led to this game looking as weird as it did. So the 14-minute, 13-second mark, this was an example of Bama actually dominating the line of scrimmage after Chattanooga got the ball back here. And Alabama dominated the line, and then Reuben Foster, he did this like two or three more times throughout the game, but he flew in extremely quick to make a tackle. This guy's like a missile. Like we've been saying all year, like the human missile. That play is like an epitome of that. If you want to see why people love Reuben Foster, go look at the 14-minute, 13-second mark of the second quarter and watch it. Also, Chattanooga tried to use these quick passes to nullify our pass rush. They did that a few times throughout the game. They kept flaring the ball out to the running back before we had a chance to really get the pass rush going. And an example of this is at the 13-minute, 35-second mark of the second quarter. So if you want to see kind of what they tried to do to neutralize our pass rush, that's an example. And we'll have to be on the lookout for that because I believe Auburn may try to do something similar. Great pass protection at 12-minute and the 2-second mark for Alabama, actually, in the second quarter for Jalen Hurts. But he should have thrown to the outside. So this is a play where he had good pass protection and he had time to make the throw. And he threw it to Trayvon Diggs, the freshman. The problem was he threw the ball to the inside. Trayvon Diggs was running down the right sideline. And he threw the ball a little bit too much to the inside. And all the defender had to do was turn around and he would have got an interception. Luckily, Trayvon Diggs tried to fight for the ball and it went incomplete. But Jalen should have thrown the ball to the outside shoulder of the receiver so that he can make a catch on the sideline. Jalen has to work on that. Bad throw, but good pass protection. So also J.K. Scott's punt. If you want to see why J.K. Scott should have been a Ray Guy finalist, I don't know why he's not. He's always been a great punter. At the 10-minute, 45-second mark of the second quarter, that punt was absolutely amazing. The hang time on that punt, I thought it wasn't going to come down. It was crazy. It was a really really good punt. I just had to point that out. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the hit. When Jalen Hurts tried to hurdle at the goal line. So after we got the ball back on that punt, actually, we made them fumble. We got the ball back and we were trying to move into the end zone. Jalen Hurts took a huge hit at 10-minute, 35-second mark, trying to hurdle at the goal line, trying to get into the end zone. Another carry, of course, for him, carrying the ball again. He tried to jump and he got flipped. And I thought he was going to land on his head and I thought he was going to hurt his neck. But luckily, he landed on his back instead, which is still not good because it was an impactful hit. But that's one of the reasons why we shouldn't be having him run the ball so often, especially in a game like this. That's pathetic. He took another big hit right after that. The next play, he took off on a scramble and tried to run again, and two defenders snatched him, and he took another hard hit. And I'm wondering, Jalen, why do you keep running? And why are we allowing him to keep you running like that? Uh, and I'm saying this strongly. Like, I understand that him running is a great part of our offense, but it gets to a point where it becomes dangerous for his health, especially as a quarterback. He's going to take a lot of hits, and it can not end well for him. So we got to be careful with how much we're running. We got to be careful with how much we're allowing him to run, especially when we got some running backs. And I know they're a little bit injured, and we're trying to monitor their carries, but at the same time, you don't want to give your quarterback all those carries as a runner as well. It's like painful. Look at you can see it with Michael Vick. Uh, the more he took, I mean, he still looked impressive, but as he continued to get older, and the more he continued to run, he started to acquire more injuries because he took more hits. So you got to be careful there. Looking at my next point here, I think the fourth and goal play that we got the touchdown on, it was right after the 8 minute and 50-second mark of the second quarter. It was a good play, but it was a risky throw. So it was the first touchdown he threw to Garrett Dieter. He was running to the right. Nobody was open. The defender overran Dieter a little bit, and Jalen Hurts threw back across his body a little bit to hit back at Garrett Dieter. And it was a good catch by Dieter, but it was a risky throw, and so that's one you got to be careful on there. At the 6 minute 40-second mark of the second quarter, when Alabama's on defense again, Ryan Anderson did something amazing. He noticed the screen play was happening. So go back and look at this play. The 6 minute 40-second mark of the second quarter, Ryan Anderson noticed the screen. He stopped his rush. He was rushing, and then he pursued the play and got the tackle. That is what you call an outstanding defensive play by Ryan Anderson. This is why this guy is one of the most underrated players on our team. The next play at the 5 minute 58-second mark, Jonathan Allen was like, yes, if you're going to read screens, I'm going to do one too. He read the screen really well, and he followed the offensive lineman to the receiver and got the tackle and made the stop. Great play by Jonathan Allen. Also, a little bit after that, a play or two afterwards, Chattanooga got good pass protection again at the 5 minute and 15-second mark. But Minkah Fitzpatrick played really good coverage on the receiver and had him covered up, and the ball went too far. But to be fair, Tim Williams did finally beat the left tackle and was coming around, but that did not affect the throw at all. We're just lucky that Minkah Fitzpatrick was playing great coverage. I mean, they really did stop our rush a lot of times. It was kind of weird. And some of that may be a scheme. We may have been trying to limit the rush, but we usually get pushed, and we didn't get any push. And so this Chattanooga offensive defensive line was underrated. They did a great job, to be honest. The great run blocking. It was really, really great run blocking on this play when Alabama got the ball back about the 5 minute mark of the second quarter. We blew open some holes on the right side of the line of scrimmage on this play, and then Damien Harris used his vision to find it. And if you want to see why this team, I've been saying all year, why this offensive line is better than last year's offensive line, that play is one of the reasons why. Because I didn't see those type of holes for Derrick Henry a lot last year. Very inconsistent. This year, this happens much more consistent. Go watch that play and watch that hole open up on the right side of the line of scrimmage. Also, at the 420 mark of the second quarter, Hurts had all day to throw or scramble at the 420 mark. Yet he took a sack. And, you know, he's a true freshman. I understand. We were saying this all year. I know he's not going to be perfect, and he's going to work these things out. But this is an example of one of those things he can improve on. He can use this to learn from. So he was looking down the field, which is good. He wasn't immediately trying to run. But you had enough time to make a decision and say, I need to get out of here before the rush finally gets to me. And what happened was that he took too long, and one of the Chattanooga rushers got free and got him. And it's like, you got to take a moment and process that a little bit faster. Like I said, he's a true freshman, so he's working on that. The Chattanooga receivers all day, I noticed this, they did a great job of blocking our defensive backs. They did a really good job of doing that. Their coach must have really got on them about making sure our secondary members can't affect the run game. And I think that's how they pop some of those run games. And the crazy part is, I'm talking as if they got a lot of yards and were very successful. They didn't really get a lot of yards and were super successful against Alabama, but they had some plays that were successful because they executed the small things to keep our guys from getting to what they needed to do. Their wide receivers blocked our cornerbacks pretty well and stopped them from interfering in the running game, which allowed them to pop off a few runs every now and then. I remember Tony Brown getting blocked pretty well. I remember Averett and Humphrey, maybe. I remember them getting, like, just not having a lot of impact in a running game like we usually see. Speaking of Tony Brown, he played really well. He played the run really well at the 110 mark of the second quarter, like right before halftime. He held the receiver up pretty good as they were trying to, like, wash him out of the way. and keep him away from the ball. But he held his ground and got to the running back, and that's what we wanted to see more often from our defensive backs. That's what I'm used to seeing from our defensive backs. The fact that they were able to block our defensive backs so well and stop them from running was a surprise, and that type of play is what I expected to see more out of from our guys at the 110 mark of the second quarter. So going on to the second half, the first play of the third quarter was successful by Chattanooga. It was an inside run, actually. They blocked us pretty good and just let their running back slip through. Once again, undisciplined rush, undisciplined gap control led to that play. Alabama wasn't doing that great. And you got to give credit to Chattanooga because their offensive line made that hole, even if Alabama was undisciplined. The next play, though, at the 14-minute, 10-second mark, we got no rush again, so no pass rush. It was a passing play. And our pass coverage was confused. It seems like they were playing a zone or whatnot, and they just didn't get in the right place. So not only did we get no rush, but the pass coverage looked like it was out of place. So that was interesting to see. Then, about the 12th minute, 15-second mark of the third quarter, Chattanooga still had the ball. The Chattanooga quarterback, Benefield, number 15, he impressed me today with some of his throws. He threw a nice sidearm pass for a first down. This play was kind of insignificant because it was like a third down and 2, but this shows me that they're a much better team than people giving them credit for. These 8-2, now 8-3 because of the loss. Chattanooga Mocs, who are headed to that third straight FCS playoff, showed me that they can make the small plays to, move the ball, and they showed the talent that they do have on their team. Their coach was right; they do have talent on their team. They showed it in some of the plays that they were making in Alabama. They flew to the ball all day, and this was one of those plays where he knew he needed to get the first down, so he threw a nice sidearm pass to his receiver in the flat, and the guy got the first down. And they're much better than they give him credit for. Also, not too long after that, he threw a beautiful touch pass right over Dalvin Tomlinson's head at the 10-minute and 40-second mark of the third quarter. So it was a short pass, but something flared out to the running back. But Dalvin Tomlinson could have easily knocked it down. He's the knockdown king, as we all know. But he threw the ball beautifully over his head with the right amount of touch to get the running back the ball. And it just shows you that these guys have talent that they're not being recognized for. Uh, the pass protection for Alabama at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter was amazing. This is when Alabama finally got the ball back in the second half. But Chattanooga had good coverage. So Jalen Hurts had all day to throw once again. See, that's why I say I love this offensive line. I always highlight these guys pass blocking well because they were so inconsistent last year. But this year's line is better. Jonah Williams is making an impact. But Chattanooga had good coverage on that play. They double covered. But I feel like if Jalen had trusted his arm, he could have hit Calvin Ridley. I think on this play in particular. On the next play, Chattanooga flew to the ball and stopped Jalen Hurts like they did all games. So he had another run where he tried to scramble or take off, and before he got anywhere, they all just flew to the ball. But I guess that was their plan: make sure that we can't move the ball anywhere. They made sure all their players were tackling. They tried to be like a Nick Saban defense, basically. And they just did uh, yeah, they just did a great job. On the play not too long after that, about the 8-minute and 40-second mark, Hurts passed to Cam Sims. It was a bit off target, but it was still a good play because he got about 9 or 10 yards there. But he threw the pass out to the flat swing route to Cam Sims, number 17. And Cam Sims had to kind of turn around and spin him back around to catch it and get up the field. When you're throwing those swing routes, you want to throw the ball out in front of the receiver so they can continue to run. Cam Sims had to look behind him, catch the ball behind, and then spin around to get back going upfield. And he has to work on that. That's an example. That's how you know your accuracy needs a little bit of work. The next play, I think Hurts was sacked at the 8-minute and 20-second mark of the third quarter. A bit of that was because of pass coverage. But also because the Chattanooga guys just beat our guys. I think Jonah Williams got beat on that play. I think our right guard got beat on that play. I think they blitzed. These Chattanooga guys, they wanted to beat Alabama, and they tried their hardest. Also, what am I looking at? Yeah, around the 6-minute, 52-second mark of the third quarter, Alabama's special teams was undisciplined in their tackling, and Chattanooga got a good return, so we got to work on that. Around the 6-minute, 5-second mark is one of the few times, if we're on defense here, 6 minutes, 5 seconds mark is one of the few times throughout the game where we actually got a rush. But the crazy part is that we had to blitz, and the quarterback threw the ball out, and so it was like, what's going on? The drive. So we got the ball back after that, and we started the drive at 5 minute 22-second mark of the third quarter. It's still 14-3 at this point. And this is where we finally decided to run. Lane Kiffin calls some running plays. And we got successful. Damian Harris had some good runs. We ran the ball. It was effective. We scored a touchdown after like 3 or 4 plays. So you're like, oh, running the ball equals success on offense. I would have never guessed. Yes, it does. Running the ball with someone besides Jalen Hurts, because that's what they've been keying on the whole game. Now, to be fair, Lane Kiffin does call plays to fit a game plan to get the defense thinking one way to switch over. It's just really frustrating when you know that something else may be more successful. But that's also one of the reasons why I'm not an offensive coordinator. But it can be frustrating. Now, if you want to see an example of the Chattanooga receivers blocking our defensive backs really well and keeping our guys from getting the ball, the 4 minute 10-second mark of the third quarter, go watch that play. Also, Reuben Foster again making an impact on the 2 minute and 10-second mark. This guy is fast. He flew in and got to the running back before he even got to the line of scrimmage. That's just how quick he got in. If you want to see Reuben Foster, once again, an example of why we love him so much. 2 minute, 10-second mark of the third quarter. We continued running on our next drive after we got the ball back at the 122 mark of the third quarter. And that was good. Our pass protection on the next play after we continued to run, though, was defeated again around the 55-second mark of the third quarter. Bradley Bozeman got beat on that play. But Hurts made a great play and ran for a few yards. But the pass protection definitely got beat. And it's like, oh, this Chattanooga defensive line, this front, is giving us fits. On the first play of the fourth quarter, it was a horrible throw by Jalen Hurts. Horrible throw by Jalen Hurts. First play of the fourth quarter. Yes, I remember this play now. So, and it may have been because Jalen Hurts had a little pressure coming, but it's like he had the time to set himself up and throw the ball into Cam Sims. Cam Sims had beat his guy in a slant route with ease. It was going to be a touchdown no matter what. The ball was behind Cam Sims, and the defensive back actually had a chance to get the interception by diving for it. And you're like, no, don't you ever do that again. Bad throw. He should have stepped into his throw and hit the receiver in stride on a slant route going perfectly for a touchdown. First play of the fourth quarter. So that's something we got to work on. Should have been a touchdown for Cam Sims, but it wasn't. Like I said, he may have been affected by the rush, but it's like you got to step into those throws sometimes. Chattanooga just seemed to be more motivated than Alabama. And that's, like I said earlier, that's unacceptable. Like, you are the number one team in the nation, undefeated. Why aren't you motivated? But Bama's size and talent just took over. Fourth quarter is where we finally started pulling away a little bit. The defensive line had an impressive stand on the 3rd-and-1 play at the 13-minute, 10-second mark of the fourth quarter. I was like, this is looking like Alabama defense now. And like I said before, it's not that we had been giving up a lot of yards. It's just that we had just undisciplined stuff, allowing plays that we usually don't give up, especially in the run game. Even though they didn't have a lot of rushing yards, it's just sometimes you see them do things and you're like, wait, why did we give that up? 13-minute, 10-second mark of the fourth quarter. We had an impressive, it was the 3rd-and-1. Our defensive line stood up their whole offensive line. So the whole UTC offensive line got stood up, and we made the tackle for loss on the 3rd-and-1. Great play. That's why I wanted to see more often. That's what we got to do against Auburn. Cam Robinson, not too long after that, hurt his shoulder, but it didn't seem to be that much impact on the play. I think what happened is that one of the UTC linemen's helmet hit Cam Robinson's shoulder, and I think hopefully that's just a stinger, and Nick Saban said today in the press conference that it doesn't seem to be that serious. Him or Corey Kirby. Around the 10-minute, 52-second mark of the fourth quarter, we had good protection, but no one was open, or Hurts didn't see him. One of them, and I think he took another sack because of that. Also, Cam Robinson's replacement got hurt like a few plays later. We're just like, what? Corey Kirby played left tackle for him. He got hurt too, but like I said, they both should be okay. Nick Saban said it's not that serious. Let me see. Joshua Jacobs came in not too long after, but his fumble was unfortunate because he landed on top of a UTC player, and the other UTC player just ripped the ball out while he was falling down. So I was like, oh, that's not really much of his fault, but you do got to hold on to the ball. Just some final things as we're winding down the video. The run blocking uh, was blown up at the 8 minute 5 second mark of the fourth quarter. UTC just rushed in there and knocked out linebacker and got the ball back. It's like, we can't do that. We got to make tackles. UTC had 7 tackles for loss. They were in our backfield. J.K. Scott, like I said, not being a Ray Guy finalist, his punts all day. He's averaging like 49 yards for a punt. They were amazing. I don't understand. Cam Sims did a great job today playing in the place of our Darius Stewart, who had some issues discipline-wise, so they didn't let him play this game. Cam Sims did really well. I want to see him play more often because he's tall too, so I want to see some jump balls thrown his way. Uh, yeah, and does UTC continue to fly to the ball all game? Uh, I will end this by giving Jalen Hurts some credit. About the 4:15 mark of the fourth quarter, right before we scored our last touchdown, Jalen Hurts threw a really good pass to Miller Forrestall in the end zone. That it should have been called. It could have been caught by Forrestall, but he put the ball right where it needed to be and out of the defender's out of harm's way, and that was a great throw. I want to see that more often from him. And I really like what I saw from Derek Gore, the walk-on running back, who was breaking a lot of tackles toward the end of the game as we were trying to run the clock out. That, my friend, is my post-game thoughts on this Alabama versus Chattanooga game that is right before the Iron Bowl. And at the end of the day, like I said, we got to give credit to these teams. Just because they're not Division One doesn't mean they're not good teams. They are good teams, and we may be expecting our teams to be like just superior to them in every way, as though they're like subhuman or something. But these teams go to the playoffs and they win and they recruit too. And they have talent and they develop guys. That's why some of these guys go to the NFL. And they really wanted to beat Alabama yesterday and showed in Alabama was out motivated, if I can use that term I was just thinking of. So yeah, that's it. Look forward to me to do like a preview of this Alabama Auburn game. I'll try to do a preview and the prediction and all. So be on the lookout for that this week. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think. Let me know some of the things that you noticed or some of the things that maybe I missed or some things that you noticed that you want to discuss in the comments. Thank you.